Hey everyone, I'm Michael and welcome to Prudent Gaming. Earlier this year I ventured to a galaxy far, far away when I played Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It was a thrilling adventure from start to finish and I was sad when the journey came to an end. What stuck out most to me was the fantastic level design and how the level designers at Respawn had used subtle tricks and techniques to tell the player exactly where to go, and this made me question if the player even needs the map in the game. I want to talk about all the techniques I noticed in the game and show you why you can't get lost in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order implements game design techniques that are increasingly common in modern adventure games. These techniques are used to help the player navigate the level with relative ease without getting frustrated because they have taken the wrong turn or have run into too many doors that aren't supposed to open. There's nothing quite as annoying as running against a wall for 10 minutes because you have no clue where you need to go next. Arguably, the most effective way to tell a player the way forward is light. Light sources create contrast with the rest of the environment and act as a beacon, a guiding light if you will. A good example of this is a section on Dathomir where the player needs to make their way into the Knight Brothers village. You can see there is a torch inside the pathway to the right making it stand out, and looking around to the left path you'll notice that they have used negative space. This told me that I needed to take the right path, but of course, exploring to the left would net me some extra force echoes. I think, in our minds, light represents safety, which is why we gravitate towards it. I mean, how many times have you turned off the hallway lights and then sprinted up to your bedroom before anything can grab you? Light is one of the more obvious signs, but a living world can point you in the right direction. By this, I mean things like wildlife and weather effects. This creates motion in the scene, and Jedi Fallen Order uses this on each planet effectively by having the local wildlife scurry away from you, causing your eyes to follow them and look ahead. This is most prominent on Bogano, the first planet. Just after stepping off the Mantis, Cal takes a few steps forward and can see these boglings pouncing away slightly to the right, showing a downward slope. Bringing motion to the scene is a really effective way to keep things moving at a steady pace. It's not always fun when the player needs to constantly stop to look around the game space trying to find where to go. To keep the player engaged and moving, visual aids are built into the environment in the form of climbable ledges, cracks in the walls, and runnable walls. Is runnable a word? According to Merriam-Webster, it is! Definition of runnable: capable of being run. And these vertical lined walls can be run on. Walls the player can climb are boldly defined by vines, and the developers were nice enough to let you hang on almost any ledge. A slightly different way than the likes of Naughty Dog with Uncharted and The Last of Us, where interactable ledges are clearly marked in yellow. I also noticed in my recent playthrough of Rise of the Tomb Raider that Crystal Dynamics have opted for white to mark these types of ledges. For most of Jedi Fallen Order, the player maintains complete control over the camera. However, there are moments where the control is taken away and the camera pulls round to face in the direction the player needs to go. This deliberate placement of the camera usually follows a cutscene, like this moment on Kashyyyk. Notice here how after the cutscene is played out, the camera pans round to have Cal looking directly at the door there, indicating the way forward, despite all the NPCs going a completely different way. Fixing the camera to certain positions is an extremely effective way to keep the player's sight on the way forward and keep the momentum. A great example of this being used during active gameplay as opposed to transitioning from a cutscene is in Uncharted 3 when playing as young Nathan Drake on the run across some rooftops. The camera follows Drake around corners to show any upcoming obstacles and allow the player to quickly overcome them in this intense chase. If the player couldn't see what was ahead and had to position the camera frantically, then all momentum would be lost and the scene wouldn't be as thrilling. Many games employ these techniques that play on the psychology of players to keep things moving, but Jedi Fallen Order also makes use of a companion in the form of BD-1, a small droid with the characteristics of a lapdog. BD-1 will occasionally jump off your back and head in the direction of a point of interest. Scanning these points will provide the player with further information about the history of an area or the creatures and enemies that they have defeated. Jeff Majors, lead level designer for Jedi Fallen Order, said in an interview with Game Informer, "Sometimes BD-1 will jump off your back and lead you in the right direction you need to go. Sometimes is the key word here because it really doesn't happen a lot. We try not to use that too much and more rely on the map. The map is also part of BD-1's toolset, and I want to touch on that because I found the map to be almost useless. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order prides itself on its Metroidvania level design, and it fits into this genre through its use of platforming, areas inaccessible until new abilities are unlocked, and a large interconnected map on each planet. And it's the map I'd like to talk about the most here. Most Metroidvanias are 2D and require heavy use of the map to traverse through the game, but as I've shown, Jedi Fallen Order makes use of a vast array of techniques to nudge the player in the right direction. The main path is still somewhat linear, as the explorable parts of the game are short and often lead to dead ends, requiring the player to turn back the way they came as opposed to finding a different route to get back on track. The map is only filled in as the player explores, so it's because of these techniques that I rarely use the map in my playthrough. This fits the bill for a Metroidvania, but it becomes redundant when the game doesn't require you to revisit some of the planets. BD1's map isn't a tool to be used for exploring, but instead to tell you where you've been. Exploration in Jedi Fallen Order is designed to be done through the player looking at the environment and picking out the techniques that I've previously mentioned, like the light sources, motion created by wildlife, and weather effects. Respawn has done all this through their decision to use the Metroidvania formula. In the same Game Informer interview mentioned previously, Jeff Majors says, "What the Metroid style level design does for us is somewhat a way to give the player guided exploration." Looking back at that clip I showed earlier on Dathomir, I mentioned how the light to the right indicated the correct way to go, which told me to take the opposite route to net me some extra force echoes. Examples like this could be found throughout Jedi Fallen Order. Once the player is aware of these techniques, it becomes clear which areas are worth exploring. The player is given the illusion of choice when it comes to exploration, but having the wool pulled over their eyes isn't a bad thing because Jedi Fallen Order is an action-adventure game. If these techniques weren't used to keep the player moving in the right direction, then the game will come to a standstill and all the fun will be lost. Game designers can learn a lot from the likes of Respawn and Naughty Dog and implement the techniques we see into their games to keep the player engaged and prevent scenarios from becoming stagnant. I believe a lot of games, Jedi Fallen Order included, could take the map out of the game entirely and provide an even better experience. Next time you're playing an adventure game that has the option of turning the map off, try it out, see how you get on and then let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video and have learned what to look out for in your next adventure. Give this video a thumbs up because that always helps out, and if you haven't already then please consider subscribing for more videos just like this one. I haven't uploaded in a very long time and this is the first video I've done which is kind of like my new sort of content, which I'm trying to put more out there, more analytical videos and just a bit more in depth. And yeah, it's taken me way too long to put this video up, so I appreciate all of you for sticking with me all through this video and it's only going to improve from here. So thanks again for watching, I'll see you in the next video.